Welcome to the NPH Hour on News Talk Saga 960 AM. I'm your host, Jason Tom, and this marks episode number 6. And things are starting to fall into place for a radio show that is really the first of its kind, focusing solely on Canadian basketball. And right now, with competitive team basketball still in a holding pattern here in Canada due to COVID-19, we have a number of graduating seniors that have not had the chance to showcase their skills in order to earn a post-secondary scholarship in the United States, while also playing against top competition with increased exposure, which many hope would lead them to playing at the highest level in the NBA. But the truth is, the percentage of Canadian players that get the opportunity to play Division I basketball right out of high school is very small. The ones who then move on to play in the NBA are even smaller. But the opportunities that can come along that path, or the lessons learned while on that journey, more often than not will define the next chapter of that student athlete's life. And on this show, 3 young men will tell their stories, all of them very different, yet similar in one way. They used the sport to better themselves as people and gave themselves opportunities that they otherwise would not have had. One has represented Canada on the world stage, gets paid to play the game he loves, and has been a part of Canadian basketball history here at home. Another played at a prestigious Division I school, but battled injuries and never realized the goal of playing professional basketball. Instead, he has become a doctor and will start his residency as a neurosurgeon next month. While our first guest is currently still walking his path as a student athlete. He needed to spend 2 years at junior colleges in the United States in order to academically qualify and play well enough to earn a Division I scholarship. Jasmine Sanga is a Brampton native from a working-class family that has supported him to achieve his dream, and now he finds himself with the support of people from multiple cities and multiple countries who he hopes to inspire every time he steps on the floor. Jasmine Sanga, Surrey, British Columbia born, Brampton raised, but I want to start with your parents' background. How much pride do you take in the sacrifices they made to put you on the path that you're currently on today?
I take a lot of pride in that. I mean, my family, especially my dad, he came to the country with $20 to his name, and he just grinded for everything he had. And he met my mother, and it just went from there. And it just goes to show that hard work could take you anywhere. And I just learned that growing up from them, because without hard work and waking up every day at 4 or 5 a.m., what my mom and dad do, I wouldn't be here, because everything that I know in life, it comes from them. And the biggest thing for me is their work ethic.
How lucky do you feel that you can play a sport that's considered a grind? And I get it, and it is. But at the same time, it's chasing your own dreams, playing a sport. Is it something that they can't really comprehend because they come from such a different world of that?
Well, yes and no, because my mom grew up running track, so she understands sports and how it could be a getaway to really just get away from all your problems and just enjoy yourself and have fun. But then again, there was no opportunity in India. And she had to just stop running track, stop doing what she loved to just go make money and survive and come to Canada for a better life, not only for her, but for me and my brother. So they understand the grind, but then again, they didn't have the luxury that I did, you know what I mean, to take this a little bit further and take it a lot further than what she wanted to do. And she tells me every single day that don't take it for granted, because it could just be gone like this.
You know, recently you committed to Texas A&M Corpus Christi, making your D1 dream a reality, but you had to go the junior college route. For those that don't know, maybe just explain junior college in the U.S. and the challenges that come with that.
Junior college is, I think it's just another way to get to that goal. I mean, academically, if you're not doing well, you got to go junior college, or if you don't even have enough exposure, that's for a lot of cases. you could go junior college and really blow up. I mean, for example, my roommate Denver Jones, he had zero offers out of high school. He was a qualifier. Went 1 year JUCO. He had 25 plus offers, and it just goes to show that how JUCO could make a dreams come true. But JUCO's a different grind. It's not meant for everybody. I mean, I've seen a lot of people quit basketball when they went JUCO because you got to be able to not eat the best food. You got to be you have to be in the gym consistently every single day. Otherwise, like another guy's just gonna take your spot. There's no politics in JUCO. There's none of that. You just have to go in there and grind, and that's just really what it is.
That's great insight because it's got to be tough because for the junior college, you really have to be focused academically to make sure that you are eligible for D1 when you get there. If you do, you also need to win games for the program because you need your coaching staff to stay together. But then individually, you have to try to reach your own personal goals. So how hard was it to balance all of those?
I mean, it was very overwhelming because it's like the best of both worlds. You gotta produce on the court and then you gotta produce in the classroom. And it's kind of like a business, but I think it benefits you and it kind of gets you ready for that next level that for D1, I feel like, because without the grades, you're not going to be able to play. But I learned that in high school. I didn't have the grades, but I thought I was good enough to play. But when they told me I had to go JUCO, it was just kind of like it was like a shock to me. And then from then on, I just started taking academics serious. I knocked out my homework, went to practice and did what I had to do and then get extra work as well. And you got to find a way to eat within that busy schedule. So I feel like it's definitely setting me up for Division I. And that's why I got recruited to come be an older guy, come be a leader. So I'm looking forward to it.
You know, we've talked a lot on this show about basketball players coming out of the Peel region, the waves only getting bigger. From an Indian Canadian perspective, from the Brampton area, I mean, describe the support you have received heading into your first D1 season.
I've received a lot of support. I mean, it's been a very overwhelming couple of weeks ever since I committed. I'm getting a lot of love from people in India, kids in Paris, Indian kids in Paris, Spain, and in the Peel region, every single politician, every ward, everybody in the whole city is just supporting me. And it feels great because I could use my platform to inspire other young Indian kids, these young Sikh Punjabi kids all across the world, because over the last couple of days, a lot of kids have reached out, over 100, just wanting some help, some advice. And I want to be that helping hand. I want to be one of those guys that are willing to help guys and giving them advice that I never got.
Yeah, and what kind of challenges come with that as well? Because you played in Florida, Kansas, and now you can't get any more south than Corpus Christi, Texas, right? You're right on the Gulf of Mexico there. What type of cultural differences have you faced kind of in your basketball career down there?
A lot of people don't look at me as a basketball player. I mean, I walk in the gym and I don't really get the respect that I deserve up until I play. So it's just a story of my life where I just have to go in and play the game the best way I can and perform every single pickup game, every single workout, and every single practice, because I got overlooked my whole life. So I just carry it with me now at this point. And then it's a lot, like the food is different. Like I'm used to eating Indian food every day. So coming to the States, the food is different. And I'm not going to lie, I did receive a lot of hate and racism when I was out here in the States, because there's not a lot of Indian folks out here. And I'm not used to being around a lot of different, like, non-Indian people, you know what I mean? Because my school, Louise Arbor Secondary School that I went to in Brampton, was probably 80% Indian dudes. So it was different for sure, but I adapt real quick and I'm enjoying it.
What is it like for you to be able to get this education, play the sport you love, and then at the same time kind of see all these different cultures and perspectives of these different places that you've been able to live?
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking up on a lot of new things, a lot of new lingo. I'm starting to enjoy a lot more foods than I did back when I was in Brampton. And meeting people for me is really big, because I love to meet people and I love to talk to different people. So being in Florida, I met a lot of people there. Being in Atlanta, Kansas, is just, I built a lot of relationships that are going to last a lifetime.
So what do you miss the most about Brampton, or what food are you missing the most that you can't remember the last time you had it?
I'm missing that butter chicken that
Okay.
my mom makes.
So, but from a D1 perspective, when you're talking about, Indian basketball players and even Indian Canadian, what does it mean to you now? You've already told me about all these people who have reached out, but how do you put that on your back now where you're like, listen, I need to do all these things, not only for myself, but to be able to show the next young kid from my background, they can identify now with you having seen you play on that level.
I feel like back in the day, like when Pastor Baines used to play and Manu Claire and those guys, social media wasn't as big
Mm.
as it is now. So I feel like I could do a little bit more than what they did and add on what they did because of my platform and the social media of what it is today. So I feel like I just have to perform and work hard every single day and not take a day off, because at the end of the day, I can not only inspire kids in Brampton and Surrey and Vancouver like that, but I can inspire the billion people back in India. That's definitely a dream of mine, to play in the NBA and inspire a billion people, because if I could just make my way and keep grinding every single day, like why can't they? And that's just how I feel.
The ball is going to stop bouncing at some point, and now you're going to be able to get, an academic scholarship behind you. What do you want to do on that side of things? What are you looking to kind of get yourself better, both as a student, along with student athlete?
I just want to sharpen my mind and keep learning things. I like psychology and stuff like that. I want to learn more about the mind and how we operate. But just want to finish up. I got 3 years to play at D1, so hopefully I could get my master's degree and just go from there and show people back home it's possible. Not only on the basketball court, but academically too. You could do both.
I've read that Sangha is a Sanskrit word meaning association, assembly, community. And it sounds like you have a huge community from Surrey to Brampton, Florida, Kansas, back in India, all supporting you. And I mean, really, at this point, man, you can't lose. Congratulations on the scholarship. And, really looking forward to everyone back here in Peel being able to hear you on the radio and then worldwide on the podcast as well.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It means a lot.
The NBA has long seen India as a perfect place to grow their game and have undertaken many initiatives similar to what they have done in other countries like China, Mexico, and Africa, just to name a few. But seeing a player succeed at the highest level, like NBA Hall of Famer Yao Ming of China, is something that takes things to another level. Back in 2015, Satnam Singh became the first Indian-born player to be selected in the NBA draft. That same year, Toronto-born Indian-Canadian Sim Bhullar became the first player of Indian descent to play in an NBA game with the Sacramento Kings. Recently, Principal Singh played with the G League Ignite in hopes of hearing his name called on draft night this summer. So the opportunity is there. But for now, Jasman Sangha will add his name to the list of Indian-Canadian players to reach the Division I level and put in the work needed in hopes of making his dream of playing in the NBA a reality one day. Next on the NPH Hour, we talk with a player that also went the junior college route but quickly decided he needed to change his path and return home. He played at the U Sports level, which led him to reach his goal of playing professionally. Now he tackles a new challenge, playing 3x3 basketball, which you may be surprised in hearing is now an Olympic sport. Scarborough's Adika Peter McNeely is next here on the NPH Hour on News Talk Saga 960 AM.